Let's break this down even more. We've got political science professor Stephen Maynard Caliendo joining us again live here on the show. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you.
All right, so we've got lots to talk about. This is the first time the nation has really heard from Governor Walz.
And he definitely leaned on his roots, if you will, as a teacher and a football coach, even throwing in a bunch of football references like this one.
We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right team.
All right, so how do you think his folksy speech sort of played with not only delegates but voters and anyone who was watching? Was it relatable?
Yeah, there's no question that this is the reason he was picked. His walkout music last night was John Cougar Mellencamp's Small Town. So they're definitely leaning into this part of it. They're also leaning into his progressive credentials. The clip that we just showed really talks about this rhetorical gymnastics that's happening in American politics over the last year or so, where Democrats are sort of trying to own this term freedom in a way that Republicans typically have, and the interrelationship between how government affects our lives and what government's appropriate role would be. And so he articulated that very clearly in language that all of us could understand. But there were complex ideas underneath there, and so I thought, to pull that off in 25 minutes was really a task, and he did a great job.
It was very short compared to some of the other speeches that we've heard from.
I'll take it.
I mean, it's long nights here. So this the personal story that he shared is something that I've seen shared so much on social media about the IVF journey that the family went through to have their daughter Hope. How do you think that resonated on such a personal issue that has really been big in this campaign?
Yeah, and I was interested as I was watching to see, how was he going to address this, because it's become somewhat controversial because it emerged that it wasn't technically IVF, it was a different fertilization treatment that they had. I don't know why that would matter, except for that I think that there's an opportunity for on the Republican side to portray him as exaggerating, to portray him as something less than honest, certainly with his service record and the time he made the quip about serving in combat. So he didn't do that. He just talked about fertilization broadly. And again, it's this opportunity to talk about freedom is so much about the Dobbs decision in 2022. It really changed the way that we can talk about politics because it is about government interference.
Yes, and it's interesting how, if I may, how he's balancing what these, normal Republican sort of strong issues are with his Democratic, if you will, take on them, like serving for 24 years.
That's correct.
And also he brought up guns, and he said, I'm a better shot than most members of Congress, and I've got the trophies to prove it. But he also brought back his comment about Donald Trump, that sort of started his national platform, if you will. So let's take a listen to that before we talk about it.
Is it weird? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also wrong. And it's dangerous.
So is it still working, the weird comment?
No, I think this was a pivot away from weird. The way he framed that was, sure, it's weird, but it's also dangerous, or it's also troubling, or whatever he's going to do. So it seems like they're going to move away from weird. Weird was an early on sort of way to sort of to categorize. I don't think we're going to hear a lot of weird anymore. I think that they've done the weird has done the work that the campaign has wanted it to do, and I believe at this point they're going to move on to more substantive critiques.
All right. So next up at 5:15, we got to talk to you about what we might hear from Kamala Harris. This is the big night, the last of the convention. So we're going to touch base with you on that.
That would be great.